Hello, Scorpio. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Scorpio is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger. And I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Scorpio, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. Okay, a Queen of Swords. You're in a very reflective type of mood right now. And I don't feel like this is emotional reflection. I feel like you're looking at the past, trying to understand why something happened. Okay? Spirit's highlighting that for you right now, that you're somebody who tries to learn from the past and tries to understand what led up to a certain, outcome. Okay? The Queen of Swords is a very objective, or tries to be objective, tries to get a bird's eye view of life and see like past, present, and the future, to kind of see like, that if we don't understand the past, we're doomed to repeat it. Okay? So I think there's something that you're trying not to do again in life. Okay? And I think in order to prevent that from happening, you're looking at the past and you're figuring out what led up to, what was the sequence of events, okay, that led up to the outcome that you're thinking of. The queens are always in a transition, the queens of the tarot, right? They're always going from the past to the future. It's always a turning point, okay? So this is always somebody who is processing and ending and getting ready to go again. Getting ready to do something one more time. But this, with the learning, with the lesson learned from the past so that you don't repeat the same outcome. It's kind of like, obviously, if you do the same thing you did before, you're probably going to get the same outcome, right? So I feel like that's what you're trying to understand. What did I do last time? So I make sure I don't do the exact same thing again and then get the same darn outcome again. Okay, so you really have this kind of bird's eye view, more objective look at your life right now, and I think that's being highlighted as your sort of current situation. Let's put this card into a little bit of context, and let's see what's going on. Now you've got your Scorpio superpower card. Now you have a Prince of Cups, which represents the Scorpio energy in action. Yeah, we have a Three of Cups. We have the Four. Yeah, see, something was completed in the past. This was a particular outcome, something manifested. Doesn't mean this is what you wanted, okay? But here's a Queen of Wands now, and that Five of Cups, the disappointment, okay? So I feel that you're trying to learn from the past because something that you attempted, I think, didn't work out the way you wished that it would have. And so now with this reflection, you're trying to change the outcome when you try again, because you're going to try again, right? The Queen of Wands is eager to try again. The Queen of Wands really doesn't even want the satisfaction of success, because they just want to keep doing it. The Queen of Wands is somebody that, they're playing a baseball game. They don't want the baseball game to end. They don't want to win. They want it to be tied up forever because they just want to play. They don't want to have to win or lose, because then they have to stop playing and they have to go home, I want us to keep playing. So this card here, this part of your energy doesn't care about the outcome, just wants to do it. But you're trying to also kind of gain some insight from how you played the last game, right? So that you can have a different outcome this time. Let's look at the path of the Serpent, Six of Swords, kind of a plan, a strategy. We have that Devil card, that driving force. We have the Eight of Swords, the overthinking. There is the infinite possibilities of any number of potential outcomes. Okay? And this to me is the destiny card. This is the shape of what wants to happen, and this is unlimited possibilities. Basically, it's Spirit's way of saying that if you reflect on the past, if you can get that objective view of things, if you can learn from the past, you can create any outcome that you wish. Whatever you want the result to be, it can be. Okay? And it may be saying that, you know, you've been applying yourself to this for a long time. There's something in your life that you've kind of, like you've been here before. There's something that's been repeating. Yeah. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it down right over here with Tiny Bob Ross right on top. We're not going to look at that happy little card until the very end. It will tie everything together, and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card might be, put your prediction in the comments below the video at any time, okay? Now let's look around the room. We see 1, 2 major arcana energies. And to me, this is powerful. The devil and the universe, right? This is your engine of your car. Okay? This is you climbing that mountain. This is your generative drive. This is that infinite mountain of the universe, you know? Basically saying here that you're working toward creating something that is lasting. I almost feel like you're creating something that you're not even really going to, really witness the final construction of something. You know, like this is something that, it's like a legacy. This is something that is outliving you. You're creating like generational wealth or generational success or something that you're building that you're going to have to like pass on to somebody else, and they can be the custodian of it. They can continue to build upon your success, you know? So it's either you're building like an empire, you're building a family, you're building a business, whatever it might be. Maybe it is generational wealth or that kind of financial security. But there is a real ambition in you right now. Yeah. We've got fire and fire. We've got water and water. We've got air, air, air. We got the 3 waters and 3 airs. And no earth, really, but we have Capricorn for the earth. We have the world card or the universe card as some earth energy too. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 air, 1, 2, 3 water. So it's your heart and your mind, okay, that are trying to work together to figure out exactly how to get the outcome that you want. Okay, about how to create something. I think long term, I think you're building something that is that extends beyond your personal considerations and your personal interest. Okay, so the first card, like I said, is your current situation, really, and this is about you trying to process an ending, to understand what led up to a particular event, and how you can learn from that as you move forward, okay? And the next card is the kind of the battle or the challenge card, and this is authenticity. This is your superpower, okay? This is your inner voice, okay? This is your authentic self in somewhat of a hostile environment. You know, it's interesting, these 2 cards are kind of opposite cards. They're inside out of each other, right? This is a droplet of water in air, in an atmosphere of gas, okay? Droplet of water up in the sky. This is a little bubble of air down in the depths of the ocean, right? This is air of water. This is water of air. So I feel like you're trying to look at things from all angles right now. I feel that in a way your mind, your logical mind, okay, is kind of challenging your heart, you know. Your logical mind might be trying to discourage your passion, your authentic feeling, okay? And the flip side of that is that your heart might be really trying to squeeze out the voice of pessimism, trying to squeeze out like the voice of reason, I feel like your mind is kind of saying like, don't do it, it's risky, like we got to think about this more. And your heart is like saying, be quiet, and so there's kind of to me, it feels like a challenge between your heart and your mind, something that we need a synthesis for. We've got to get on the same page here, because I feel like your heart is kind of hostile to your mind is kind of hostile to your heart right now. And it may be that your heart is, I think, because of the Five of Cups in this future position, your heart might be saying, no, it's too risky. And maybe your mind is saying, look, we understand what went wrong. We can do it again. We can do it this time. The heart is kind of saying, I don't want to go through this disappointment again. I don't want to feel this, okay? But the mind is saying, look, I've got a plan, and it's going to work this time, yeah? And so there seems to be a little bit of conflict between that. But the Prince of Cups is that authentic voice, okay? This is something inside of you that really wants to be expressed into the world. And while it might be a little frightening at the moment, okay, because we're kind of staring down this Five of Cups. We're kind of looking into the face of disappointment and thinking, I don't want to feel that, okay? This is something that I think is a very deep desire in you. Of course, that Three of Cups underneath the surface, this is the wish. This is that inner abundance. This is something that your soul knows, even if you consciously forgot. And this is that you have the potential to manifest this, and you have the potential to create this wish, to manifest the wish, to materialize this, okay? This is a card of celebration. This is a card of abundance. This is the card that says there's something inside of you that the world wants, that the world needs, okay? And I think that, we sometimes try to protect this, that it's almost, in some weird way, it's almost better if we keep this to ourselves, we keep this locked up inside of us so that it can't be corrupted. If this remains an unfulfilled wish, then at least there's still hope, at least it's still possible. But if we get to the Five of Cups, then it's saying, well, this, just is gone, right? And so there's that part of us, I think it's part of human nature, where in a small way, we'd rather keep something unmanifested and just keep it as an unfulfilled wish, because then somewhere on some plane of existence, in some universe, it's fulfilled. Because if we go forward now in this life and we try but we fail, well, then that's the reality. So if we keep this unmanifest, because see, the Three is not yet manifested. The Three is potential energy, okay? The Four is when it becomes kinetic. The Four is when something materializes. So it's almost like we'd rather keep it as an unfulfilled wish, because that keeps it safe. That prevents it from being corrupted. Yeah, does that make sense? And so you have a desire for your life, but rather than pursuing that desire, there's part of us that just doesn't want to pursue it because we don't want to fail at it. We don't want to be disappointed. And so we'd rather just live our whole life kind of dreaming of it and keeping that wish and that hope inside, where we can still believe it to be true on some level, and it's still there in potential form, you see. But I think you're being called to take a risk. You're being called to express that, to speak your truth, to share your gift with the world. You have a song inside of you that wants to be sung. You got to take a chance on it, okay? There's something inside of you that wants to manifest. And I think as many times as you have to go through the process of trying it, it's worth it, okay? Now in the background, the Four of Wands is the energy that it's a past event that's still weighing you down, okay? It's still kind of, it's a past issue that hasn't yet been let go of. It's still influencing your current situation. And I feel like this is kind of what you're looking at. This is a card of completion, okay? It's a card of something has manifested, yeah? And, you know, I wonder if this is the last iteration of this wish, okay? And you're trying to learn from it. I feel like you went around the merry-go-round once, and now the Queen of Swords is saying, okay, what did I learn from that? How can I make it better moving forward? How can I slowly refine my work so that the Five of Cups can slowly become the Six of Cups, right? The disappointment can become pleasure, you know, can become a wish fulfilled. So I feel like that's what you're kind of trying to do, and with the idea of this four and the idea of the repetition of something, okay? I feel like it's not the first time that you've attempted something. And it's to the point now where maybe your heart is kind of tired and your heart is saying, I don't want to go around again. I don't want to do it again and get the Five of Cups again. You know, whether this is your creative voice, whether this is you dating or looking for love, looking for relationships, or you trying to build your business, whatever it is, I feel like the heart is kind of getting a little bit tired of going around and getting the same result. But the mind is saying, look, we're getting closer to finding the key. We're getting closer to having that perfect plan, okay? I think you have the Six of Swords here for a reason. The Six of Swords is the mind saying, look, we've got the perfect plan now. We can't fail. But the heart is saying, I don't know if I trust you, okay? So this is that past influence that's still kind of weighing heavy on you. And I wonder, you know, how many times you've already attempted something. Like we talked about the Queen of Wands here. The Queen of Wands doesn't care what happened here. The Queen of Wands gets off that roller coaster and says, let's go again. You know, doesn't care what the outcome was, just doesn't want to stop doing it. So this is kind of like that untapped power for you. This is what needs to be kind of like, this is the giant, this is what needs to be, you know, really activated, okay? And this is someone that is really like, it's gone outside of their heart and mind. Isn't really feeling their feelings so much, isn't really thinking their thoughts too much, is just doing something because they love it, okay? So I feel that there is this part of you that finds the joy and the satisfaction just in the attempt, you know, in the movement. This is somebody that paints because they love painting. It doesn't matter what they paint or whether it's a masterpiece or a piece of garbage, right? Just loves doing it. It's the passion for doing the thing for its own sake, okay? And so I feel like in your life there is something that you enjoy doing, not because of the outcome, but because of the joy of doing it. That's what you're being told to pursue right now, okay? And to look at it in that way. Of course, your mind always is going to always be running, right? The gears, right? The wheels are always spinning. Your mind is always going to try to find a way to map out a course for success, okay? Your mind is always going to do that, so that's fine. Your heart, on the other hand, is kind of saying like, I get discouraged when things don't work out that well. When I try something and I don't get the right kind of feedback, I get discouraged and I don't want to do it anymore. That's where we need the Queen of Wands that just says, find the joy in doing it. Find the passion and the fire just to be doing the thing, okay? And try to do it just for its own sake. Yeah. In the future position, that disappointment, that Five of Cups. The Five of Cups is when your heart is expecting something to be present, but it's not present. And then the heart feels disappointed. And that is a demotivating force. Okay. I feel like what the mind is doing now with your current situation of reflection and trying to really look, you know, in a very objective and very honest way about how you've done things in the past, right? The water is kind of like the why you've been doing it, and the air is kind of the how you've been doing it. Doesn't matter what it is. I think what matters is how and why. Well, we see the why, right? Because it's something inside of you that you feel called upon to do. It's something that you desire really deeply, and something that you do have a passion for doing. The why is kind of something that now is being refined. So that Six of Swords is the how you're going to do it to get the outcome that you want. You're refining your method, your methodology. Okay, refining your tactics. You're making progress in developing better and better techniques. Yeah, you have the passion for it. You have the potential for it. Your heart, getting a little bit discouraged, but you're able to build on your technique. Maybe it's music, maybe it's your business, whatever it is. You're able to learn from your past performance, okay, and apply that to how you're going to do the next one, how you're going to practice, how you're going to perform it the next time. And it doesn't really matter what this is. What matters is now that I feel like you have the best version of the plan that you've ever had, okay? I feel like you're a very organized person, and I think you like to have a map. I think that you're not really prone to like improv. I think you like to have a bit of structure there. Okay, and as your general energy, I feel like it's important that you have the plan, and you're able to stick to the course that you've plotted. Yeah, because I feel like this is the path to success for you. I feel like this is the roadmap. Yeah, I feel like this is part of the bigger picture, the bigger plan, and I think that it's a little bit of order in the chaos. Okay, I think it is just enough of that refinement that you can take something that you love doing just for its own sake, and in a way, these two inside-out cards to me kind of feel like someone who values just the artistic expression, and then someone who values the technique. It's almost like we have raw talent, and then we have skill. Someone that just wants to feel the emotion of the music, and then this is somebody that likes the math. I don't know if this is music for you, but if you are a musically inclined person, I think you know what I mean. This is just the feeling. I just want to feel the music. And then this is somebody that likes the technique and the structure and the actual mathematics. Music is very mathematic. And so I feel like these are two different approaches to the same art, or the same, I don't know, the endeavor, right? The same project. Looking at it very intellectually, logically, very left brain, very right brain. It's very yin-yang here, right? We have water with a little bit of air in it. We have air with a little bit of water in it, both kind of reflecting and suggesting the opposite there. And the idea here is that the heart and the mind are going to work together, that you're going to have this raw talent, but you're going to refine the skill that's going to, those two powers together are going to lead to infinite success for you. And I think you don't want to let one kind of overrule the other. Yeah. Your raw talent and your skill, your technique. The raw talent is harnessed by the technique, and you need to have both. Okay? You can't just have technique with no talent. You can't have talent, but then not have any skill or refinement of that talent. Okay? And so even the Six of Swords is kind of showing that all those techniques are pointed, all those swords, right, are pointed right at the heart, right at the very center of that rose cross. So all of your skills, all of your techniques, all of your learning have been aimed at bringing out the voice that's within you. You know, all of the hard work, all of that intellectual work, all the refinement, all the study, all the practicing. And maybe that's the Four of Wands. Maybe this is practice. Okay, around and around again. All of that practice has been aimed at allowing you or enabling you to, as purely and as expertly as possible, express the vision that's inside of you. You know, does that make sense? It's like you got a picture in your head and you want to put that picture on canvas. You need the skill. You have to refine your fine motor skills in order to translate that. See, I can visualize, right? So I can picture anything I want in my mind, right? More or less. But I can't show you because I can't draw for nothing. So it's going to be stick figures and chicken scratches. Now, maybe if I had some raw talent and I practiced, I could be able to draw you a picture of what I see in my head, but it's not going to be that accurate. This, to me, is your ability to accurately translate that, to transcribe the vision in your head, your wish, your hope, your dream, your voice, your song, whatever it is, and to be able to express it as precisely as you want to. It's like you can hear a song in your head, right? But then can you write the music? Can you produce the song? Can you create the track? Can you write the beat? Can you program the synth or whatever? How accurately can you transcribe what's in your heart and mind into a physical form? Okay? That's what we're talking about here. That's to me, that's the precision of your creativity right now. And I think every time you go around this merry-go-round, you're trying to refine your ability to take your vision and put it on paper. And the Five of Cups is saying every time you've done that, you haven't been satisfied with how it looks. It's like I can picture a bird in my mind, right? And I try to draw a picture of a bird, and oh gosh. And so I'm kind of disappointed in my picture. I drew a bird. I'm disappointed in that. So you know what? I'm going to practice again. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to study. I'm going to learn. I'm going to reflect. How did I do it last time? Okay, well, I don't want to do it that way again because my bird looks like a dinosaur usually. And so you keep refining that until you finally, one day, you look at your picture of your bird and you say, that's exactly the way I was seeing it in my head. Exactly. Right? Now, because this is a universe card and not like a 10 of Pentacles or a 10 of Cups or even a 6 or something, this is kind of like saying you're never going to be completely satisfied with how it looks. The bird on paper is never going to match exactly the bird you see in your mind. Now, I knew kids, when I was in elementary school, I knew kids that you could show them a photograph of a bird. And they would sit down and they would draw the bird just with a pencil and a piece of paper, lined paper from their school. They're supposed to be doing work or whatever, but they would draw a perfect copy, like a Xerox, a perfect copy of that bird from that photograph. And I would say, wow, I said, that's exactly the same. And they'd say, nah, I messed up. It doesn't look the same at all. But to the layperson, to me, I'm not a visual artist, right? I would see that and I would think that is identical. There is not a single flaw in that drawing. But my friend, his name was Peter, he would look at that and he would say, no, I made mistakes. It's not very good. And he'd want to throw it away. I said, can I keep it? That's what the universe card is for you. It's the idea that no matter how precise you get, you'll never be fully satisfied with your representation of what's inside of you. It's never going to be so perfect that you're just like, hey, that's perfect. So it's not about perfection. It's about excellence. It's about refinement, but it's also about your joy and passion of doing it. You're doing it just for its own sake. The fact that you keep getting better and better and better and more, closer and closer and closer to exactly how you want it to look is kind of a bonus, okay? Now, in your environment, you've got your Devil card. This is motivation. This is your your drive. Okay, that is your creative drive, your generative drive. It's your aggressive drive, assertive drive. It is your emotional drive or your pleasure drive. Okay, and I think right now you have this creative drive, which is kind of like you want to manifest something as perfectly as possible to the way you envision it. I think you also have a little bit of that aggressive drive, which is like, it feels good just to be doing it. I don't care about the outcome. I just want to do it. But then the pleasure drive may be what's a little bit out of balance for you, because I kind of feel like you're not experiencing the pleasure of doing it because you seem to be disappointed in the way it turns out. Okay, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if this is art, if some other form of, of creativity, or if it has to do with your business or your relationships or friendships or your spiritual work or whatever it is. Doesn't really matter. This could be at home, at work, at school. It doesn't matter where this is taking place. But this to me is kind of, or it could be anyway, kind of a fixation on perfection. Okay, that rather than doing this and enjoying it and feeling good about it and seeing the progress and feeling some satisfaction with what you're building, I feel like it's you have the tendency to become enslaved to it. Now you have a real intensity about you anyway, and Scorpio, I think you're a natural artist. But just make sure that you don't become a slave to that perfection. That you learn to just enjoy what you're doing for its own sake, and that you learn to recognize the progress that you're making. Okay? Take pleasure in what you're doing, and take pride in your progress. Okay? And take some sort of deeper satisfaction knowing that you're leaving something for future generations. So I don't want you to paint something and then just immediately tear it up and throw it away. Okay? Because this Devil card, it is the engine of the car. It doesn't really care where you're going. It just wants to drive, So don't let yourself get too obsessed with that kind of perfection. Okay? Or needing things to be exactly a certain way in order for you to feel good about what you're creating. Okay? Because you're never going to be perfect. It's never about perfection. It could be about progress. It could be about satisfaction and fulfillment. It could be about, feeling as if you're making a difference in the world. You're leaving something for future generations to improve upon. It's not about perfection. Okay, the Eight of Swords is a very obvious overthinking. Okay, and I think that it kind of ties in with our heart energy, our disappointment, because then we start kind of overthinking the disappointment, and what we start doing then is we start changing too much, and we start changing too many things at once, and then we realize that the quality of our work is going down because we've made it too complicated. Queen of Wands likes simplicity. Okay, I just want to do the thing because I have fun doing it. I don't want to get too technical. I don't want to get too complicated with it. Okay, so when you have your heart and your mind here that are trying to work together, we see that the heart can fall out of harmony. So can the mind. The heart can start to feel too disappointed, and of course, your emotional energy is a great value judge. Okay, so when your heart feels disappointed about something, well, that's just because you want high quality. Yeah, so that's a good thing. When your mind starts to, overthink in that way, it's feeling like it needs to tinker or refine or ruminate on something and continue to kind of think creatively and be very critical of what you're doing. Well, it's because the mind wants quality too. These cards to the extreme are going to do the opposite of creating quality. Okay? Too much disappointment, too much complexity is going to ruin the quality of what you're doing. A little bit of this is good. okay? Because it keeps you in pursuit of excellence. A little bit of this is good because you're paying attention to the details and you're trying to refine your technique. But these two cards, like to the extreme, are going to diminish the quality of what you're doing. So we don't want to overthink it. We don't want to be too disappointed, you know, where we're kind of splitting hairs and we're finding something, anything to be disappointed about. Okay? The universe card here is infinite expansion. To me, that feels like you could refine this thing, whatever it is in your life. You could, I mean, forever. Okay? You could work on this for eternity and it will never be perfect. Okay? So maybe it's kind of, you know, deciding when you've progressed enough, when you are fully satisfied. See, the goat is going to climb the mountain. You put the goat in front of a mountain, it's going to climb the mountain. It's going to want to be the greatest of all time, right? No matter how high the mountain is, the goat's going to keep climbing. What if it's an infinite mountain? You're never going to stop climbing. Okay, when do you rest? When do you stop and say, you know what? It's perfect the way it is. It's not perfect, but it is perfect, you know? Maybe the mystery card will be perfect. Maybe this will be either a 6 or a 10 of anything. I don't care what. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments below. Let's see. Yeah, 10 of Pentacles. As close to perfection as possible. This is the way you envision something. You know, the 10 of Pentacles, it's the picture of your best life. That's how I want my life to be. That's how I want it to look. That's how I imagine it. This is you having a vision of your best life, the good life. Now you're going to get close to this, but you could spend your entire life trying to get it perfect and not enjoying the ride. See, this doesn't have to be about one piece of art or like one picture of a bird, you know? It's about your entire life. You want your life to be perfect. And in your pursuit of that perfection, you're not enjoying your life. Okay? So it's good to want to have a vision. This is how you want your life to look. This is everything that you want, everything that you desire. This is the color of the wallpaper, the type of carpet, the furniture, everything. It's your pets, your plants, your people. You got everything here, right? You know exactly how you want it to look because you have the vision in your imagination, in your heart, mind, in your soul and spirit. And you should pursue this perfection, okay? Just make sure that you enjoy the ride and that you're not too hard on yourself and that you don't make it too complicated. And that if you only get a 9.5, well, that's close enough, you know? You could always be pushing more. Maybe you'll even exceed this. Maybe you'll even be way better than you ever expected. See, the 10 is not just a 10. It's an infinite number of something. So even the 10s of the tarot are implying that every time you get close to perfection, your mind will find a way to move the goalpost. You got 9.8, 9.9, I got a perfect 10. Wait a minute. No, I'm only at a 9.9. It's like your goal scooches out a little bit. Every time it will. And that's fine because that's how we get just, you know, excellent, innovative, groundbreaking stuff in the world, right? As long as you're not torturing yourself to get that kind of perfection, okay? Because that 5 of Cups, that 8 of Swords, is saying that you're going to always be self-critical and you're always going to be disappointed in whatever level of progress or whatever sort of degree of perfection that you get. Okay, so that's what Spirit's trying to highlight here, is that you can strive for absolute perfection knowing that you're never going to fully get there because the goalpost is going to move. And also that you need to enjoy and take pleasure in the path and the road and that journey up that mountain to your perfection and to your excellence and to your best life. Okay, I don't know if this is about one particular picture or piece of music or something. I feel like this is your outlook on life. Yeah, now we're going to do an extended reading. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do some oracle cards. There's a link in the corner. There's a link down below. New readings for Scorpio Mondays and Thursdays. Be sure to watch both the readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you are the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we're all in this together.